Now let's talk this through by speaking with Comrade Ayodele Adewale, who was the immediate past executive chairman of Amu Ward of local government here in Lagos State. Thank you so much for joining us, Comrade.
Good morning.
Thank you for having me.
Right, so much to actually chew on this particular topic, because it's, if you're looking at what the Organised Labour are saying, talking about proposing a staff redistribution, placement and auditing exercise to ascertain the actual numbers of local government workers, primary school teachers, etc. On top of that, saying that the federal government should not pay give workers the monies directly to local government. I don't know, as a former local government chairman, how do you see this?
Well, the workers are very right. Looking at contemporary issues that confront us as a people in Nigeria in terms of local government governance. Those sundry matters they spoke about are first-line charges, vis-a-vis the salary of teachers and workers in the local government, and of course pension. Any government that is very meaningful in doing the right thing will first of all plug off those funds. But before you plug off, you need to do an audit to know the exact number of workers that you have, so that you don't start throwing coin into the sea. And that will help to block leakages. So I believe that the worker fear is very germane, and to get it right, truly right, until a time where the system is well stabilized. That is the right way to go.
So as it stands now, the local government in Nigeria are not enough. Especially some are also saying that if you look at Nigeria as a whole, we might be having issues with local government, but the way local governments are run, areas are run in Lagos State, is quite different from what we see in other states. They have some semblance of autonomy to some extent. But are you saying that we are not exactly ripe to having our local governments after the Supreme Court's judgment saying that yes, we want financial autonomy for local government? We are not ripe for that to carry on this task?
What we have in Lagos is not semblance. What we have in Lagos is full autonomy to the extent that we control our funds, right? And we are allowed to express our powers, as the case may be, in accordance to our peculiarity in different geolocation in Lagos State as local government. And I believe why we had the joint account was that before we came in, there were backlogs of outstanding payment of pension. And before we came in also, that was in 2008, because I was chairman 2008, 2014, right? Some local government were indebted, especially those from Ikorodu local government. I think after the referendum to create additional local government councils, I think they were broken into about 5 or 6, right? Now, those who predate them had secured a loan to build a very big market. Now, those who came during our own time were paying those loans to the extent that they were even going home with zero allocation at some point. There was a local government chairman called Mr. Banjoko. There was a time when the allocation came and he was shedding tears. Jokumba and the rest, they were shedding tears because they were, paying debts, that have been incurred, right? Now, if those debts were not there, they could have done a lot. And I believe that was why that local government joint account was created. That, look, you guys, first of all, remove the sundry matters, which is payment of staff salary, payment of pension, and payment of teachers. When you plug it off, then you can use whatever that is remaining to develop your space. But universally, not all of them were thinking alike. So for the federal government to have decided to listen, I hope they listen to the cries of NULGE and the interest grouping that, look, create an institution that will help manage this funding for all 774 local government areas to the extent that these first-line charges are paid. Because if you don't do that, you are going to have one, two, or some of them that will go out borrowing for projects that are not directly impactful to their people, forgetting their primary objective, which is to take care of the welfare of their staff and, of course, the aftermath.
So, if you look at, the front pages of the newspaper this morning, where there is, on the Guardian is showing that there is confusion as Senate insists on full local government autonomy. I think this would also bring us to the question whether we could actually say the local governments can achieve full autonomy if they do not have financial control over their staff. There is also the laid-back attitude of civil servants that we still have and the government is still addressing to now. But when they do not have financial control, how would they say they have full autonomy in that sense?
There's two stages of full autonomy. The first one is to have autonomy to implement all of the provision of the Constitution and the administrative guideline as set by the House of Assembly, right? Because the Constitution gives the House of Assembly the power to create and, of course, to put in place guidelines for the local government. Likewise, the Constitution also gives the local government its nomenclature as a creation, right? Now, from that perspective, they are autonomous. So it depends on who has been voted in to think out of the box, to create something from nothing, right? The second stage is financial autonomy, which the president has done so well by going to the Supreme Court for clear interpretation and powers, right? Which, again, the Supreme Court have done the needful. Now, what did the president also do? He sponsored a bill to the National Assembly to review that provision in the Constitution in order to align all of these provisions and make the local government fully autonomous. I'm very happy to see the Senate President speaking the way he has spoken. I was in Uyo as an NYC core member when he was commissioner as at that time, so I know what he did and all of that. So he's in the best position to understand the goings and how to work things around for good. So by the time they work all of these provisions together, so those two areas of autonomy becomes one, then the local government can actually work in tandem, full-fledged, as a state government will work, as the federal government will work. While I was chairman, I was interfacing with the U.S. consulate, right, and the U.S. government. I was interfacing with the UK Deputy High Commissioner's office to the extent that they would take us to UK through the UKTI. We'll meet investors, discuss with them. We were operating sister cities relationship. I was working with the United Nations Climate Change conference through the UN. I was signing Kyoto protocols. I know I signed about 4 protocols, one in Durban, and I think one in Mexico, in Cancun, right? And I was sitting among presidents. In fact, I was a member of ICLER. ICLER is a congregation of all local government in the world, to the extent that one of us, in France, I think you have the president and the prime minister, right? So one of us was heading one of those offices. We met in Nantes, right, in France. And he was just laughing and, we correlated. So you don't have any restriction in terms of implementation of provision to suit the whims and caprices of your people. And for instance, if I had come from a local government that has a lot of land, I would have gone into massive agriculture and all of that. And we could also generate our revenues, right? Nobody stops you from generating revenue, right? And all of that. Your revenue is not limited to levies alone.
That's right.
You can also create sources of revenue points.
That's right. But there is no disputing the fact that local government, compared to what it used to be in the day of the old, is quite different. So much so that some people who are running the affairs of local government do not essentially understand the task that they are given, the brief that they have, in order to deliver dividends of democracy or good governance to the people. How do you think one can navigate this difficulty, especially after the Supreme Court judgment? We have some local government chairmen, especially in Oyo State, who are saying that, listen, we're subservient to the state, we are loyal to the governor of the state, and anything we want to do, we have to revert to the governor of the state and all of that. So essentially, where did we miss it? And what do you think we can do to rechannel, the essence of creation of local governments. If you look at what Governor Bayelsa State said, DOD, saying that it's an aberration for the federal government to create local government, according to the Constitution. So we have to revert to true federalism. How do you see this? Make us understand, this issue very well.
There is no difference between the before and the now in terms of the history of the local government, as the case be. It's about leadership. And I keep saying it's about leadership. Even if the federal government and the state government allows all the funds to go directly to the local government and they give you the structural autonomy, or you have the structural autonomy, if you don't have the right leadership in place, they won't. But
in the case where you have right leadership and then the local governments, they have a stranglehold on the local governments.
What do you mean by stranglehold?
Before the Supreme Court judgment allowing local government, federal government to pay directly to the local government, you have the right leadership, but you do not have the apparatus to, you don't have the financial muscle to deliver good governance to the people. You just gave an example of one of the past local government chairmen who, burst into tears.
I think we've gone past that right now, with due respect. Right. The federal government have gone to the Supreme Court, right, that they should get their monies. We've gone past that. The federal government has said within certain months, I think 3 months, that all states should conduct local government election. We've gone past that right now, or we're going past that. What we should look at is how will the locality itself throw up the best within their lots. It is when this is done that we'll see the full-fledged implementation of all of the workings of the federal government, the Supreme Court, and our National Assembly. So we should be looking at how to help the people, right? You as the press, the civil society, and the people themselves, civic engagement, to bring out the best from amongst them. That is the only way we can achieve our set goals.
I'm talking about, bringing out the best in the local government. That video that was played, we saw the Senate President also saying, to an extent, even state government should actually be given to the local government in terms of funds and all that. We still have states that are yet to generate as much revenue. How is that likely to work?
I'm very happy that Senator Tony Nwoye, who was my colleague in NANS, is actually championing that cause. And of course, the Senate President, like I said, who had been Commissioner for Local Government before, can understand what they're talking about. And the President that have championed it, right, know what they're doing. So the best we can do right now is to work very swiftly to making sure that the processes are well aligned, the processes are well followed, the people understand it very well, and the system, the political system, is created in such a way that it can allow for the best amongst their people in order to reduce the burden on the federal and on the states. Now, the state government also, through the provision of the Nigerian Constitution, must give a certain percentage, I think about 25% or thereabouts.
To the local government.
To the local government. To the local government, not through the local government. To the local government as their revenue. Just as the federal is given to the local government, but those two sources are not enough. What will be enough is for the local government to generate their resources and plug leakages. If they don't plug leakages and don't generate resources, they won't move far. I'll give you an example. I came in as chairman of local government at the age of 33, right? After serving Chief Enauru as the mobilization officer of Pronaco. In Pronaco, we worked so many things in trying to provide for a people's constitution. So I understood a lot of those things that we're talking about. And in the Citizens Forum, while I was secretary and Professor Wale Soyinka was chairman, and while working with Dr. Bekor and Somkuti as secretary in the June 12 coalition. So I've been privileged to many discussions on how they want grassroots governance to be. So when I came in, I was able to implement a lot of it. Like I met one doctor, right? Ordinarily, you expect me to go and start employing doctors. I knew that I could not afford the allowances. The basic salary is not the problem. It's those allowances. I couldn't afford it. What did I do? I spoke to the NYSC that, look, I need core member doctors. And they said, okay, we have limited core member doctors, but for every doctor we give you, we'll give you more other disciplines, right? I did that after I've walked through my budget and looked at what I needed the most, right? So for one doctor, when I was leaving after 6 years, I left over, if I'm not too wrong, I left over 60 doctors. Some from NYSC, some retiree doctors from the community, right? My NYSC doctors then, mostly at the Riverine, we were giving them 100,000.
Interesting stuff, you know.
You understand? And likewise, one thing that the government must also do for local government is that each of those departments don't have enough hands, you understand, to operate that department. Take, for instance, engineering department. When I came in, I only met one engineer of a certain discipline of the engineering field. And if you want it robust, you must get different disciplines, right? So I had to bring in mechanical engineer, I had to bring in a QS, I had to bring in a structural engineer, electrical engineer, and all of that. And we had to pay for it.
That's right. Ability to now build on all of these achievement gains is actually what really matters in driving, the dividends of governance. But if you look at the recruitment embargo that was actually requested by the JAG, the 1 year recruitment freeze recommended.
The what?
1 year recruitment freeze recommended is meant to stabilize, according to them, system before new hires are made. So, considering that local governments often struggle with staff shortages, an example which you gave in key areas like education and healthcare, how do you think this embargo might affect the service delivery? What strategies do you think government can actually do or to adopt to manage this hampering essential services?
1 year is too long. 1 year is too long. If we have to be very pragmatic, right, and putting our hands on the plow. 4 months is enough. 4 months embargo, go and do your audit, right? And I beg the president to bring what he did in Lagos there. Bring in the Oracle system. Bring in the Oracle system, do your staff audit, plug your staff into the Oracle system. Now, when you do your audit, the audit shows you the amount of workforce that you have in terms of relativity to different departments. Like when I came in, I didn't have enough workforce. So I had to engage over 1,000 non-pensionable workers, from the street sweepers to the education consultant. That was what I did, right? And doing that, we also brought in a staff verification exercise of 5 days in 1 month, right? If you don't come within those 5 days, you are sacked. So we now look at the flow. How many people are sacked? We bring in replacement, and we pay them through the banks. Because when the auditors came, it was like strange to them. How can you manage this like number of people? And I said, go to the banks.
When they were sacked, you created unemployment to...
No. There is always a stream to feed it back, right? We do the staff audit. You employ some people, they want to misbehave, and I tell them, right, it's a stick and carrot approach. You do well, I reward you, right? I start work from 8 a.m., I close 3 a.m. I'm not asking you to close 3 a.m., right? But again, whatever you're given, make sure it's worth the while. For the street sweepers, you start your work at 7, you close at 12. Go do whatever you want to do. I brought in Green Club, right? The Green Club are meant to plant trees. We planted over 6,000 trees, mind you, and green the environment. They were little kids, young ones, right? We taught them vocation of horticulture and all of that. You work between 7 and 12. You go home and do other things, right? So at the end of 1 month, we do a staff audit from the sweepers down to the education consultants, down to the teachers. We use the NYC core members to fix in more teachers in our primary schools. So you understand? So when you are taking off the system, I think the best word is take you off the system because you are not productive. We now bring in new people into the system to fill in those gaps. But again, we must continue to audit and make sure that people are doing the right thing.
Making sure that people, you continue to audit and all that. But I'm concerned about, state governors, especially that have not, seemingly accepted this autonomy. Some of these things you did, I want to believe it was with the support of the state government to an extent. He mentioned earlier, was it the governor of Bayelsa State, saying that it's not constitutional. How is that going to encourage the growth of the local government when, to an extent, the state government doesn't really support it?
With due respect to the governor of Bayelsa State, I would say it's hiding behind one finger, right? With due respect. You see, a man cannot do beyond his ability. The Constitution has provided for local government to be independent. Take it or leave it. The same Constitution gave you right to create local government and provide for administrative guidelines. The power that the Constitution gave to the state did not say that you should underplay the essence and the sovereignty of the local government. So that was why I said it's hiding behind one finger. If he wants a state to be robust in terms of development at the grassroots, he needs to support, cooperate with the local government helmsmen, especially in terms of training. I mean, we have the World Bank coming to support Nigeria with training. We have the UN coming to support Nigeria with training. The state can support the local government with training to improve their capacity, not for you to tinker with their funds or tinker with their powers and say that you are above. What makes you think a local government chairman does not have what it takes beyond the governor of Bayelsa State? It's about capacity.
That's right.
And it's about opportunity. The fact that you have opportunity to be there does not make you superior to the brilliance of that local government chairman. I mean, let's test everybody on the power and see who will go first. Remove the immunity from the governors, then see what will happen.
Well, some will say that's a tall order because it's actually going to have to go through the rigors of,
Testing that.
changing the constitution to accommodate.
No, the constitution is not cast in steel.
Absolutely.
It must continue to be reworked according to social realities.
Absolutely. We need to race on because of our time. Thank you so much, Comrade
Thank you very much.
The immediate past executive chairman of Ward of Local Government, Lagos State. Thank you so much. I know there's a lot that the current local government chairman will definitely need to learn.
But I always tell the people, like I've always done that they can't learn more. Just go to YouTube, type Comrade Ayodele Adewale Positive Impact. You're going to see a documentary on our first 2 years of administration and see what we did, and that can also give you an idea of what local government can do,
That's right.
as we have done in Lagos State.
That's right. Thank you very kindly. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.